Hello, my name is Emee. I'm a lecturer from Kiel University, and this webcast is about qualitative research and social impact. What can we learn from action research? In this presentation, I will show you some of my experiences as a community-based action researcher and what we, as qualitative researchers, can learn from it to achieve social impact. So the first thing that we need to recognize is this. As qualitative researchers, we already have the skills that can help us to maximize social impact. As qualitative researchers, we understand the importance of establishing rapport, of listening, of empathizing with our participants. We understand how to relate with people, and we are curious and try to understand in depth what's going on in our participants' lives. We are also reflective, which enables us to step back to see things more clearly. And not all researchers have these skills. But I trust that as qualitative researchers, we already have these skills, and we just need to learn how to maximize these skills and use these to achieve social impact. Now, in order to achieve impact, it is also important for us to be able to generate evidence to support our claims. Although it is not bad to be passionate about what we do, quite often passion alone is not good enough. From my experience as an action researcher, I'm usually driven by passion and conviction for positive social change, whether it is about improving the experiences of Black and minority ethnic groups, to promoting equality and diversity in education and healthcare. I am often driven by passion for what I do because I believe that all human beings have equal human rights. However, stating what we believe in may not be sufficient, especially when we are dealing with individuals or groups who may not share the same beliefs as we do. And so, we need to make sure that we are able to say what we need to say, but also be able to provide evidence to support our arguments. As qualitative researchers, we have been trained to do this. Our training as qualitative researchers enables us to use rigorous research methods to generate robust evidence to support our claims. Now let me give you an example from my experience wherein this worked in my favor, and this work is based at Kiel University on internationalization in higher education. Now, this action research project aimed to explore what internationalization means for students and staff in our university, to raise critical awareness of the issues related with internationalization, to generate ideas on how to address these issues, and also to encourage active engagement to implement these actions. The approach that we used here is an action research approach, and it involves 6 stages. The first stage is a scoping and generation of insight stage, wherein we try to look into what issues are occurring on this topic and generate some insights on how we could address these. Once we've collated the ideas, we try to prioritize and set action plans through another workshop. And once we've set out what we need to do, we try to implement them in stage 3, but at the same time also monitored and evaluated our actions in stage 4. And once we've done that, we also need to reflect before we move forward in stage 5, and then we could share the processes and outcomes of our work. So in the first stage, we try to organize a World Cafe discussion. Now, the World Cafe is based on the premise that people are more open to discussion when they are in a relaxed environment. So in the World Cafe, you try to facilitate discussion, make the environment conducive to open discussions. You try to listen, understand, and focus on what really matters to your participants. You need to encourage them to contribute their insights, listen together, and look for patterns and insights and deeper connections. In a World Cafe, we also try to link and connect ideas together and slow down and reflect on what's being discussed in these sessions. So for the World Cafe that we organized at Kiel, we had some posters to invite people to come in. We lured them with some lunch and cakes. You know, people love cakes, so we had cakes served to attract more participants in the discussion. We organized the event and set up the place like it was a party and had a really welcoming atmosphere as they entered the room. We had lunch available, coffee, tea, and biscuits, but also we had volunteers and research assistants to welcome participants as they come in, to get their informed consent and let them know what's going on in the cafe, what we are discussing, and what they can contribute to the discussion in this session. As you can see here on this slide, we had excellent attendance in this event. We had a good mix of staff, international, and home students all contributing to the discussions on internationalization in higher education. As you can see here, everyone was encouraged to contribute to the discussion over tea and biscuits, as you can see. And everyone was welcome to also scribble down their thoughts on the tablecloths. If they were a little bit shy to speak in front of others, they are welcome to write their thoughts and comments on these tablecloths. As you can see here, there are also menus on the table, but these menus actually serve as a topic guide, so people are aware what is being discussed on that table if they came in late for the discussion. And as you can see here, at the back of the room, there is also a wall wherein people could just post some notes about their ideas and thoughts on internationalization, whether they have some thoughts about what internationalization means, what are the key issues on internationalization, and if they have any ideas about the solution. If they only have a minute or two to spare, they can write down their thoughts and comments on these post-it notes and leave their comments on the wall. And these are all part of the data capture that happens in a World Cafe. So that was stage one, wherein we tried to generate insights and ideas about internationalization. We had a lot of comments about key issues and also some ideas for interventions. So in the following workshop, we organized a priority setting and action planning workshop, wherein we discussed some of the key issues that came out from the World Cafe. We published a small booklet to summarize some of the key issues, including topics around induction, academic-related issues on internationalization, language barriers, some socialization and accommodation issues, issues about the wider context, the level of support and resources that we could offer, and ideas about integration on internationalization. So these issues were discussed, but we also set priorities on what we need to tackle and had some concrete action planning to discuss what needs to be done, who's going to do it, and at what time frame do we need to complete these interventions. Following on from that action planning workshop, we had to pilot some of the ideas for intervention that we had. And the pilot was in the form of the Kiel World Festival, wherein we organized several events to encourage international and home studies to mingle and take part in events such as the International Festival celebration. We had food festivals, international song and dance competitions, and so on. So it's just really encouraging students and staff from different international and cultural backgrounds to come together and celebrate the diversity on campus. After that, we also had some monitoring and evaluation activities wherein we tried to set certain criteria on how we could evaluate the effectiveness of the events that were organized. So whether it promotes intercultural learning, how much it celebrates diversity, how much it encourages engagement, dialogue, and how it stimulates further interest on internationalization, whether the activities are sustainable and cost-effective, were all included in the monitoring and evaluation stage. And finally, in terms of reflection and moving forward, we try to continue to support events that promote internationalization, but we also think of ways on how we could promote intercultural learning and dialogue. There are now more open forums to discuss these activities, including the Kiel International Reflection and more longer term actions, including mentoring of international and home students and discussions around internationalization of the curriculum. Now, this project was done in 2010. It is now 2016. We've been running the Kiel World Festival for the past 6 years, and it has become an integral part of the university's internationalization agenda. Since we have sufficient evidence to highlight how internationalization can enrich the experiences of students and staff, it's actually easier for us to gather support for this advocacy. And in addition to the World Festival events, we also had enough evidence to suggest that it is important that students have opportunities to reflect upon intercultural learning and dialogue. So we do have online resources to facilitate this. And when I requested for funding, it wasn't difficult to get this support because we had evidence to support our claims. So the moral of the story, it is good to be passionate about your work, but if we really want to make an impact, we need to generate evidence to back up our claims, because with evidence, it would be easier for us to convince others that what we are trying to achieve is actually worthwhile.